Good morning, church. How are you doing this morning? Good. It's so glad to be back with you. Susie and I were on vacation last week. We were celebrating 15 years of marriage. Amen. She's put up with me for 15 years. She deserves some kind of prize. Be put up with me for 15 years. But we're so glad to be back with you this morning. We've been refreshed, and God is doing something in our midst. He's doing something in the lives and hearts of people that call Mohawk Valley Church their home. And this here is a clear indication of what our church is about. That Mohawk Valley Church cares for our community, that it cares for people, that we have a global compassion. We're compassionate and in trying to reach and care for people in our community by providing Thanksgiving meals for people in our community. By having a global compassion that we're going to be sending gifts in these Operation Christmas Child boxes to children on the other side of the world. Let me tell you, this is a clear indication that we are a church that cares. And nothing gets me more excited about a church and people that catch the heart of God, because that is the heart of God. That is the heart of Jesus, is to care and love people. And this gets me excited this morning because it's an indication that we're getting it, that we're getting the idea of who Jesus was and what he wants us to be as mothers and fathers, as husbands and wives, as single person, as grandparents, that this is who Jesus has called us to be, the people that care for one another. And we have something else coming up in a few weeks. Can you believe that the holiday season is here? We've kind of been thrusted into it. Thought that even in case you might forget, God thought, you know what? I think they're a little bit forgetful in the Northeast, so I'm just going to send some snow just in case you forgot what season that you're in, that we're about to head into the holiday season. Well, during the Christmas time is what we have done for our Christmas outreach project. What we have done is we have partnered with the Rescue Mission. Who's heard of the Rescue Mission before? A great organization, phenomenal at what they are doing in the inner city of Utica, just making a difference. And we are partnering with them, that they have a Christmas outreach program, a Christmas Serve project that they are doing to provide Christmas presents and meals for literally hundreds and hundreds of families. And so what we've done is we've partnered with them, and what I told them is that, hey, we are going to provide, in faith, I told them, that we are going to provide all the volunteers necessary to pull this off for you. That our church is a church that cares for people, that cares for the city, that cares for the Mohawk Valley, and we are going to step up and we are going to serve. So all we have to do is show up and serve. They're going to be having some Christmas packing parties. They're going to be distributing toys and meals. And so out at the hub, we have, I believe it's 5 different sign-up sheets that you can pick from a few different dates and times. So look at those sign-up sheets very carefully, because they have different times on them, they have different days, and then different projects of what you're going to be doing. But each day, each project time needs about 12 people. And so we need somewhere roughly around 60 to 75 people to volunteer and fill up some of those time slots. There's numbers on the side, 1 to 12, because we don't need 20 at one, we just need 12. So the first 12 to sign up for any given time, that is it. It's going to be capped. But I've told them in faith, because I believe that we have people that love to serve. Amen? Amen. So go up, sign up at the hub after service, and we're going to continue to make a difference in this Mohawk Valley church, in this Mohawk Valley. Amen, church? Well, this morning, I'm continuing my series called Count on It. Count on it, that there are things in this life that, let's be honest, we just can't count on. Right? Because we're human, we fail and fail miserably. And there's people in our lives that we love dearly, but we can't always count on them because they're human. Sorry, I love my wife, I've been with her 15 years, but she can't always count on me because I'm human. I make mistakes, I fall. I'm just glad that I have a God that forgives. It's trying to make me better. And there's so many things in this life that we just cannot count on. And so this morning, I want to talk to you about some promises found in God's Word that we can count on every day, day in and day out. Every single one of these promises are true, faithful, and we can hold God to them. Don't be scared to hold God to His Word, to hold God to His promises. Pray the Word of God. Lord, you said in your Word that you would do this. It's okay. He's faithful. He's not scared of our prayers. We need to learn how to pray Scripture and pray the Word of God. Lord, you said this. Like, that's right. I'm going to be faithful to it. So this morning, I want to talk to you about some promises that God gives us in His Word. And you can open your Bibles this morning, however you read your Bible, and paper, and your smartphones, tablets, devices, or you can follow along on the screens. But see, we live in a world where we feel like we always need to be the brightest, the smartest, the strongest or most successful person of every room that we walk into. I don't know about you, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, and we do our best to hide our weaknesses, don't we? We don't want anybody to see our weaknesses, and so we do our best to hide them, to cover them up. This morning, the title of my message is Finding Strength in Your Weakness. Finding strength in your weakness. But we do our best to cover our weaknesses up. I know I do. I don't want anybody to see my flaws. I don't want anybody to see my failures. I don't want anybody to see my weaknesses. So I do everything that I can to hide them, to cover them up. But you know what I've found is you can't be strong all the time. You can't. There are going to be times when you are weak. There's going to be times when you are weary. There's going to be times when you are tired. The stay-at-home mom who's looking after those kids, there's going to be time that is going to drain every ounce of patience that you have. The mom that's working and taking care of her family and being pulled in two different directions and just feels tired and weary. To the husbands and dads that are out there working, trying to provide for your families, and it just always feels like there's more bills at the end of the month than there is money, and you feel this stress, and you just feel weak and drained and tired. And it's in those moments that God shows up. And we have a promise found in Isaiah 40. Verse 29, he says this, that He gives strength to the weary and increases power to the weak. That He gives strength to the weary. You ever had times in your life where you just felt tired and weary, stressed, and you're drained? You've been worn out, beat down, and just felt like throwing in the towel. That's it. I just can't take anymore. I'm here to tell you, not yet. Don't give up yet, because there's a God who promises strength for the weary. I have no doubt this morning there's people in here that you are tired, you are weary. Your kids are wearing you out, your jobs are wearing you out, maybe your marriage is wearing you out. And you're just tired and weary. I want you to know this morning, there's strength available for you. He gives power to the weak. That was verse 29, but do you know if you were to read the first 28 verses in chapter 40, that Isaiah is describing the amazing splendor and strength and awesomeness of God. He spends 28 verses, that whole chapter, just describing how awesome God is. And then verse 29, he says, yeah, that's available for you. The awesome God that we serve, who's miraculous, who's glorious, who's holy, it's all available for you. You can find strength is available for those who are tired, who are weary, who just want to give up. But notice who God gives power to. He gives power to the weak, the people with no might, no strength. He increases that strength. See, those who are proud, and confident in their own wisdom and strength will not receive strength from God. Those who are confident and proud, and we get like that sometimes. We can sometimes begin to get a little too proud of who we are and start walking in our own strength, our chest up high, shoulders back, and thinking that I am strong, that I can do this. But you know, the Bible says in James 4:6 that God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. See, we can be confident in nothing that is in us. There's nothing in us that we ought to be confident about or proud about. There's nothing inside of us, but we can be confident in a God that will give the humble, the weak, the weary, that he will give them strength, wisdom, and power. Amen? You with me this morning, church? He wants to give you power and strength. Because I know there's people in here that you are wearied, you're tired, and you're worn out, and just feel like, I don't know where to go. I don't know which way to turn. I'm trying my best. There's hope for you this morning. There's strength for you this morning. You move on to Isaiah 40, verse 30. And it says this. It says, even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. So it's saying is even the youth shall be weary and tired and faint. And what it's saying is those who find themselves strong, that word there in that verse where it says even youth, and youth were looked at as the strong, as the capable, as the confident. And so he's saying, hey, even the strong, you could kind of almost replace that word youth with strong, and say even the strong grow tired and weary. And even the young men stumble and fall. And those who find themselves strong will stumble and fall. Have you ever felt like, you know what? I'm doing good in life. I'm doing pretty good, and I'm keeping sin at bay. I'm keeping temptation at bay, and I'm going along pretty good in my own strength and my own wisdom and my own might and my own power. And, I'm just kind of keeping everything, at bay, and I'm not really falling into temptation, and I've got it all under control. Feeling good. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, knocks you down and knocks you out. What you thought you had at bay, what you thought you had control of in your life, all of a sudden gives you a right hook and knocks you out. It's like, where'd that come from? Understand this morning that God's strength is reserved for those who know they are weak and know that they have no might. It's not reserved simply for the weak. Understand this. This is not reserved simply for the weak because, newsflash, we're all weak. Okay, we're all weak. But there's some people who refuse to understand that I am weak, to admit that I am weak. And see, God's strength is reserved for those who will humble themselves and say, God, I am weak, I'm tired, I'm weary, I can't do this. And God says, yeah, for you I have strength. Not for the proud, not for the confident in who they are, but for the humble who can recognize and admit, God, I need you. God, I can't do this life on my own. It's for the humble. There's strength for you. There's power for you. Isaiah 40, 29. We're going to go back to verse 29. It says, he gives strength to the weary and increases power of the weak. All right, and then on Isaiah 40:30 says, even youth grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. And if you look on the screen, that word weak in Isaiah 40:29, and that word tired in Isaiah 40:30, it's the same word in the Hebrew. It's the same word that means failure through loss of inherent strength. Failure through loss of strength. That I am weak, that I am tired through failure of strength. But weary in Isaiah 40:30, Isaiah 40:30, where it says weary, it's a different word. It's a different word that means exhaustion because of the hardness of life. You ever been just exhausted through the hardness of life? Just wearing you out, and you just feel like I'm just exhausted. Everything is just drained out of me. And if you're worn out for either reason, worn out because of the exhaustion of life, worn out because of the failure in your life that has drained the strength, that God is here to give you that strength. Isaiah 40:31 says this, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Those who hope in the Lord will renew your strength. Where is your hope this morning? Where is your hope this morning, church? Is it in your own strength, in your own wisdom, in your own success? Is it in your own education? Is your hope in your finances? Is your hope in your social status? Where is your hope this morning? Isaiah 40:31, but those whose hope is where? In the Lord, will renew their strength. Your strength can be renewed this morning if your hope is in the Lord. But too many times we have our hope in the things of this world. We have our hope in our careers and our jobs. We have our hope in money, finances, and yes, it's okay to have those things, but there's a difference between having them and your hope being in them. This morning, don't let your hope be in anything but the Lord. Let your hope be in your kids. Yes, love them. Give them the best life you possibly can. Raise them in the ways of the Lord, but don't put your hope in them. Love your spouse with everything that you have. They're a gift from the Lord. Love them, take care of them, but don't put your hope in your spouse. Don't put your hope in something that can fail, because we're fleshly humans that fail, and our hope is to be in the Lord and in the Lord alone. And when our hope is in the Lord, He will renew your strength. But I believe there's too many times that we put our hope in different things, and then we wonder why we find ourselves in these places, in these situations. Lord, why don't I have any strength? Why am I so exhausted? Why am I spiritually drained? And God's like, it's because your hope is in too many other things in this world. We have a lot of things vying for our attention. The culture that we live in, you're just bombarded with so many messages. There's so many forms of media outlet that your brain is in overdrive, especially moving into the Christmas season. You're going to be bombarded with ads and all the other things that Christmas season comes with, and none of those things are bad. Don't get me wrong, none of those things are bad, but we need to put them in the rightful place and make sure that our hope is in the Lord. So when our hope is in the Lord, then our strength will be renewed, and you'll be able to face whatever it is that you're facing this morning with the strength from God. Man, how confident would you be being able to walk into whatever situation knowing that I'm not walking in my own strength. I'm walking in the strength of God, who's going to restore me, who's going to build me up, who's going to give me wisdom well beyond my years. He will renew your strength. Amen, church? You don't have to carry that load alone this morning. In fact, you don't have to carry it at all when our hope is in the Lord. Worship team, if you guys want to go ahead and come back this morning. I read Isaiah 40:31, and it was actually just the first half of the verse. And I want to read you the second half of this verse. And you spend any time in church, it's a popular verse. It says this. I'm going to start right at the beginning. But those whose hope is in the Lord will renew their strength. Amen? They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. I love that. They will soar on wings like eagles. Depending on the version that you read, it might say soar, it might say they mount up with wings like eagles. And this is the measure of strength that God gives us. Strength to soar above everything else. What do you need to soar above today? Think about it for a second. What do you need to just soar above? Well, think about it. What do eagles do? They fly. Newsflash, in case you didn't know. Eagles fly. Little kindergarten lesson. But what they do is what eagles have that we don't, is a different perspective of wherever they're flying over. They have a different perspective than we do. You see, if I'm driving down the thruway on 90, I have a certain perspective of what's coming up. And I don't know about you, and maybe it's probably just my very lack of patience that I have. But when there's a traffic jam, what gets me the most is not necessarily the traffic, especially if we're kind of crawling along, but it's not knowing what is up there. So are we stopped here for a minute? Are we just crawling by an accident on the other side of the road that people are just slowing down to look? Is the accident on our side and we're going to be here for a couple hours? What is it? And you look and you can't really see sometimes. You're so far back. And who's been in a traffic jam like that before? Just stopped on the highway and you're just like, oh, and of course you have to go somewhere and be somewhere at a certain time. And it's just like, oh. That's one perspective that you have. But what about the perspective of the eagle? You don't know what's ahead. The eagle flies a couple 100 feet over the ground and see everything. See, sometimes the strength that God gives you is not a strength of might and power to overcome and to conquer. Sometimes he does. But sometimes what he does is gives you a different perspective on your life and your problem. And he gives you this ability to elevate and soar on the wings of eagles and see your life from a different perspective. And when you can see your life from a different perspective, you can see, oh, that's what God is doing. That's what God was doing in my life. Soar on the wings of eagles. Because we can get so overwhelmed and lost in the mundane, the routine of this life. But he will give you strength to soar on wings like eagles. Different perspective. Then they will run and not be weary, and they will walk and not faint. See, the purpose of the Lord's strength that he gives us is strength to move forward and to progress in him. It isn't a strength to show off, hey, look what I've done, look at me, look what I've conquered, but a strength to move forward in the things of God. Now, have you ever read this verse? And if you look at the verse, you go ahead and put the verse back up. Because as I was studying this verse, have you ever noticed the order of it? Because it's a little strange. Because first, we soar on the wings of eagles. Then it says they will run and then walk. It seems a little backwards, right? The first it says you'll soar on the wings of eagles, then you're going to run, then you're going to walk. You'd think it'd be the other way around. I'm going to walk, and then I'm going to run, and then I'm going to soar on the wings of eagles. That seems like it would make a little bit more sense, but there's a reason for this. See, first, we need to recognize that when we soar up into the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, as he says in Ephesians 2:6, and God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms of Christ Jesus. So the first thing is we're going to soar on the wings of eagles into the heavenly realms with Jesus Christ. Okay? Then we set ourselves on the course to run the race. The second part, you will run and not grow weary. The second part of that, as found in Hebrews 12:1, says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and everything that sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Because see, church, you need to get out, soar on the wings of eagles, and get into those heavenly realms with God so that you can run the race. We can't run the race in our own strength. We can't run the race in everything that we have, that we need to get into those heavenly places with our God, with our Maker, so that we can run. Amen? Then last, then we will be in a good place to walk the walk. Because, church, it's not good enough just to sing about his greatness. It's not good enough just to come into church on a Sunday morning and talk about how great our God is. Yes, it is that we serve a great God, but he wants us to walk the walk. He wants us to put feet to our faith. And found in Colossians 2:6, it says, then, just as you have received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live your lives in him. See, church, first we need to be able to soar on the wings of eagles, that we need to get into those heavenly realms and allow God to transform us so that we can run the race that he has marked out for every single one of you. Then we can walk the walk. We can go into our workplaces, we can go into our neighborhoods, we can go into our schools and put feet to our faith and walk out what Jesus already put into us. Amen, church? I want you to stand to your feet this morning. And we're going to close. We're going to have a time where I want you to spend some time with the Lord. Because I believe that there are people in here that are weary, that are tired, that are exhausted, that you're worn out, and your strength needs to be renewed. How is your strength renewed? When we soar on the wings of eagles up into the heavenly realms and allow Jesus to change us. And worship is a powerful, powerful tool that we can use to allow Christ, to allow God to change us from the inside out. Why? Why? So that we can run the race and that we can walk the walk. All right? We're going to sing this song this morning. And if you want to come up to the front and allow God just to touch you, then go ahead. Let's do this together.